Benzino. Where to begin? Though technically a reality TV personality, he's most well known for his never-ending beef with Eminem and his hand in the destruction of the Source's credibility. A string of failed signings and lackluster albums have followed him since he first entered the industry in the mid-80s, and he has consistently failed to garner much of a following. This may partially be due to his constant disruptive antics, but one way or another he manages to achieve his main aim: to stay on people's minds. Today we're gonna be discussing all things Benzino, from his albums to his producer career. We will go into everything from his co-ownership of The Source to his beef with Eminem and more.
Let's go, Melbourne! We gon' stole the party, rock the party, street Bacardi, freak somebody.
What up guys, Ali here and welcome to Ali Talks Music. Add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music as well. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's get into the video. Now Benzino was born in the 1960s and he entered the rap scene in the mid to late 80s. Though born Ray Scott, his first rap monikers included Ray Dog and Ray Dog before he finally settled on the name Benzino. He initially formed part of a four-man rap group, the Almighty RSO, alongside DJ Def Jeff, Tony Rome, and E Devious.
RSO means rock shit on around that way, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So, you know, the group was deep, man. And so as time went on, like I said, the Orange Man had got some time, you know what I'm saying? And then it was just me, Kev, Tony Rome, and Jeff. That was like the principal, you know, and E Devious, Marco, that came from the Body Rock. That was the principles of the RSO.
In 1991, they managed to land a signing with Tommy Boy Records and were joined by a fifth member, 17-year-old Rodney Rock Pitts. Now, before the group could record any new music together, Rodney got into an altercation with a bouncer at a nightclub, one that got him killed. Soldiering on, the group released One in the Chamber the following year in the midst of the controversy.
Pull over, get out, license and your registration. Next thing you know, you're cuffed up and down the station. I'm getting fed up with this.
Around the same time that the Almighty RSO had released One in the Chamber, Ice-T had released the single Cop off his Body Count album. Both singles promoted self-defense in the face of police brutality, which was a rising topic of conversation even back in the 90s, especially after a shooting resulted in the death of two young boys. One in the Chamber was a response track to the incident, and unfortunately, the Boston police pressed charges against the group for inciting violence. Warner Brothers, who was distributed by Tommy Boy Records and to which Ice-T was directly signed, responded to the public outrage by pulling both songs from their respective albums and dropping both acts from the label. For the Almighty RSO, this meant that they did not get to release an album, but had managed to garner an air of infamy and respect. They moved on and signed with Flavor Unit, a subsidiary of Epic Records, and they flaunted their newly found notoriety with the single Bad Boys.
And bring nothing but mad noise. Yeah, that's how it is when you're down with the bad boys.
The single was their only release with the label, as they were dropped soon after. Next, they signed with RCA and finally dropped an EP with the title Revenge of the Bad Boys around 1994.
And bring a clip full of mad noise. Yeah, that's how it is when you roll with some bad boys.
Again, this label situation did not work out, and around 1996, they moved on to Rap-A-Lot Records. With their new label, they managed to drop their first studio album, Doomsday RSO Forever.
Forever RSO, motherfucker. And yo.
Ironically, this album proved to be the doomsday of the group, as they broke up shortly afterwards. The album did, however, spawn a moderately well-received single with Faith Evans titled You Could Be My Boo, and credited David Mays, the group's manager, as an executive producer. Now Mays, who was also the publisher and co-founder of The Source, began to incite frustration from his team for his lack of ethics. Around 1994, he wrote a 3-page article about the Almighty RSO that was published against his editor's wishes under a false byline. In addition, it was alleged that Benzino had threatened to put in body bags if the group was not given a positive review. After a lot of back and forth, with Mace not backing down in the face of his bias, most of his editorial staff quit in protest. When David Mace published the article about the Almighty RSO, there was a severe conflict of interest as he was working with the group, so this ultimately hurt the source's credibility. Now around 1998, Ray Dogg emerged as Benzino, helming the group Made Men. For the next few years, he focused on being the best producer possible and began forming his own career. He maintained a close friendship with David Mace and stepped up into a production role when he founded their production group Hangmen 3. Made Men consisted of himself, Antonio Twice Thou, formerly E. Devious of the Almighty RSO, and Mr. Jesus, while Hangman 3 consisted of himself, Johnny Bananas, and Jeff 2 Times.
Y'all know how it goes down. It's your man Craze hanging out with my man Benzino, catching them coming off stage, switching up. How was they feeling you out there?
Shit was hot, it was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Feeling that shit, I love to perform. Boston, Made Men affiliate, you know what I'm saying? RSO forever, keeping it gangster, you know what I'm saying?
Hangman 3 made their initial production debut with minor production work in Doomsday, RSO Forever. Benzino was obviously the brain and driving force behind both groups, and in an ode of extreme ego, he began to build his own career around and above his groupmates. Around 1998, Made Men signed with Restless Records and released their debut single Is That You, which featured Master P. The group then appeared on DJ Clue's debut production album, The Professional, under a self-titled track. Following those two singles, they released an official debut album titled Classic Limited Edition around 1999. Interestingly enough, though a relatively unknown group, they managed to land an impressive caliber of features, including The Lox, Corrupt, Daz Dillinger, and Mace amongst others. It also boasts production work from a then unknown Kanye West. Sadly, despite impressive artists and respectable production, it placed at number 61 on the Billboard 200. It did, however, receive a limited critical praise, most notably by The Source, who gave it 4 out of 5 mics, but at this point, most people dismissed the rating due to bias. Classic Limited Edition was the only album released by Made Men, and Benzino was flying solo by the following year. Around 2000, he turned his focus towards production even more. The Hangman 3 released their first production album titled No Skits Volume 1 and tried things out with a new label, Surrender Records. The highlight of the album was a single titled Holla Back. Overall, the project failed to make a massive impact, but the Hangman 3 kept at it, earning production credits with artists like Prodigy, Nas, Cormega, and Raekwon as time went on. Meanwhile, Benzino's mind was still on Benzino's favorite topic, Benzino. He began to work on his own solo album, and around 2001, it finally came to fruition. The album was titled The Benzino Project and featured the singles Booty and Bang to That. It was released through Motown and featured an impressive guest list ranging from Diddy, Snoop Dogg, Pink, Teddy Riley, Foxy Brown, and Bobby Brown amongst others. Now, even though he had all these features, the project failed to gain momentum and peaked at number 84 on the Billboard 200. Despite this, Benzino felt like a king.
He's lace track for Nas and Mobb Deep, and he can rock the mic with the best of them. Clap it up right now. Come on, make some Showtime noise, y'all, for my man Benzino! Yeah!
Benzino, where you at? Benzino, where you at? Now scream!
That's because earlier in the year, he had officially been signed to The Source as a co-owner, and he immediately went to work on self-promotion. Now, despite heavy support of the album from the magazine, sales were absolutely shocking, racking up a grand total of 75,000 copies sold in total. Now, after the flop, Benzino got dropped mere months after the album came out. In addition, he had to recoup the $773,000 loss that Motown suffered in the form of free advertising space in The Source. As if this wasn't enough, around 2001, an article was written in GQ magazine by Max Porter titled Getting to the Source. The article went into depth about the lack of integrity and bias practiced by David Mace. He also went into detail about the long-time friendship between Benzino and Mace, including times they had gotten into trouble with the law. Following his breakaway from Motown, Benzino then re-released the Benzino project as the Benzino Remix project around 2002 through Surrender Records. The remix album was almost exactly the same as the original Benzino project, but the singles Bang to This, Figaro, and Booty featured different guests to their original counterparts. This new album failed to land any real respect in the industry, and Benzino seemed to have no credibility. His music was failing to find an audience, he couldn't hold on to a signing with any label, and his greatest achievement, co-ownership of The Source, had led to the entire magazine's credibility being questioned. Benzino was sitting in the very lap of a failure. With so much frustration and no one to blame but himself, his anger came out in a strange outlet, attacking Eminem. Dating all the way back to the 2000s, the rappers were at each other's throats. Around 1999, Eminem had risen to prominence with his 4-time platinum album, The Slim Shady LP.
Hi, my name is what? My name is Slim Shady.
In stark contrast to his poorly received debut, Eminem had become an almost overnight sensation, a feat that Benzino was still struggling to achieve. Whether it stemmed from jealousy or because Eminem is white, Benzino instantly hated on Eminem and his musical achievements and used his power at The Source to try and damage Eminem's reputation. When Eminem released the Marshall Mathers LP around 2000, The Source gave the album 2 out of 5 mics. After this, they had to do damage control. After receiving so many complaints, the magazine had to re-rate the album and gave it a 4 out of 5. Now around 2002, when M dropped the Eminem show, The Source gave it 4 out of 5 mics, perhaps learning from their previous mistake.
5 mics in The Source, ain't holding my breath, but I'll suffocate for the respect.
This wasn't good enough for Eminem, as he thought he deserved 5 mics, but could never get it because he was white. Benzino, perhaps realizing that Eminem would become a sensation, tried to be courteous before things turned sour. Later that year, after the release of 8 Mile, Benzino tried to interview Eminem after a performance in Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, Eminem was not interested in playing nice and gave Benzino a hard pass on the interview. He also made his thoughts known about Benzino's racism in many of his interviews and slammed both the rapper and his magazine. Benzino then decided that he could not tolerate disrespect and took the first shot by releasing Pull Your Skirt Up on his next album.
You ran to your manager, ask him how to handle this. 5 shades darker, you be cannabis.
Now after the Eminem show only got about 4 mics out of 5, and after Eminem began to diss Benzino and The Source, Benzino went to the Hot 97 studios and dropped a freestyle that dissed Eminem over Nas's Made You Look beat.
Yo, who the cat with the gladdy on his arm, Titanic, Mega Iceberg, Cartier, Rock Cannon.
In that same month, Eminem called up to the same station and dissed Benzino while promoting his artists at Shady Records. In response, Benzino released Pull Your Skirt Up. These tracks appeared on Shady Times, Invasion Part 1, and included other diss tracks such as The Realist and Welcome to Detroit.
But if you're even considering taking our label down, you better find our building and fly.
These tracks are all in response to Benzino's Pull Your Skirt Up. The lyrics were aggressive in their attack on anything and everything Eminem. His lyrics were abrasive from the get-go, and included gems such as, "You ain't repping the streets. You from the outskirts of Detroit where the b****s meet. I'm gonna pull your skirt up, expose your true sex, antagonize your label till I get my respect."
You from the outskirts of Detroit where the bitches meet. I'm gonna pull your skirt up, expose your true sex.
Following the release of his 2003 album, Redemption, Benzino continued to share his opinions on Eminem. He made his thoughts known by publishing anti-Eminem articles in The Source, such as The Unbearable Whiteness of MCing, What the Eminence of Eminem Says About Race. He even took it a step further by including a pull-out poster of himself holding Eminem's head in another issue. Despite not yet receiving an answer from Mathers, Benzino fired shots at Eminem on another song on the album called I Don't Wanna. The only Eminem I know is Made Men. By the way, he ain't never gonna play me. Show this what it really is to be shady. I don't care how many records you sold, you can't walk through the hood without the men in black. Now, despite all the attention that Benzino was getting due to dissing Eminem, his latest album was still a flop. It spawned the singles Rock the Party and Would You, and sold about 20,000 copies overall.
Checking in the closet for my blue velour suit, piping all around it with the matching tin boots.
After this, Benzino got dropped from Elektra, and once again Benzino was sitting without a label. Now, Eminem was never gonna sit quietly while Benzino attacked his label and all of his associated acts, and around 2004, he dropped a song designed to discredit the Source as a whole while taking shots at Benzino as well. Pretty much the whole song is a bar after bar destruction of the Source and Benzino, but here are the highlights. When the mics used to mean something, a 4 was like, "You're the shit, now it's the least you get." 3.5 now just means you're a piece of shit. 4.5 or 5 means you're Biggie, Jigga, Nas, or Benzino shit.
But I'm only being real when I say nobody wants to hear their grandfather rap.
The song annihilated Benzino, calling out his age, his skill, his credibility, his street cred, and his lack of success, financial and otherwise. He even called him out for being half white. If you're that much of a gangster, put the mic down. You should be out right now. Of course, Benzino fired back again, releasing yet another diss track in the form of Die Another Day. This time the rapper went hardcore, talking about Eminem and his daughter. His lyrics got very personal, and they were clearly designed to attack and provoke Eminem. "You dyed your hair blonde, I'ma make it red. How you gonna sell records, Marshall, when you're dead?"
Now it's time to turn the prophecy. Time's up. Marshall Mathers gotta die.
His crowning achievement in the entire feud was his parody of Eminem's Lose Yourself. His version was called Better Lose Yourself. Eminem still on Benzino's, talking about "I'm dead broke and you must be crazy. You a drag queen, why you keep your hair that color? Know your mom wished she swallowed you and put on that rubber."
Never met a live nigga cross 8 Mile Road. You a 6 backstreet boy that learned to rap.
Now, the beef was long-lasting and contained multiple impressive songs as the duo continued to fire shots at each other. Now, I won't go into detail on every song as we'll probably be here for a long time, but rest assured the tracks were mighty impressive on both sides. Now, after Benzino dissed Eminem and Haley specifically, he began to earn active hate from Eminem's fans. The radio stopped playing his music and his fan base began to dwindle. He continued to attack Eminem via The Source and eventually earned himself a lawsuit when Eminem sued the magazine for defamations and copyright infringement. Meanwhile, the diss tracks kept coming. Eminem was next up, firing at Benzino with Go to Sleep, a single that took aim at both Benzino and Ja Rule, who was beefing with Eminem's signee and close friend 50 Cent.
Go to sleep, bitch. Time's up, bitch. Close your
The feud continued to expand when Eminem landed on the cover of The Source's competitor, XXL, and this caused even more friction between the magazines. Ja Rule then attacked Eminem through Loose Change, leading to Eminem marshalling all his forces at Shady Records and releasing a slew of diss tracks aimed at both Benzino and Ja Rule. The diss tracks included Bump Heads with G-Unit, Do Re Mi with D12, Hail Mary with 50 Cent, and The Conspiracy Freestyle.
Ja's words being quoted in the store, stealing pot shit like he just wrote it.
Benzino then took on both 50 Cent and Eminem in his own track titled Falling Down, and then partnered up with Ja Rule to release Untouchable.
Hey man, niggas don't wanna stop. And my real street niggas ain't gonna stop.
Now this is where things get a little bit weird. Benzino, the calculated man that he was, came across an old Eminem record called Foolish Pride, one made before he had made it as a rapper. The track contained racial slurs, and the lyrics themselves were immature. On the track, Eminem took aim at his old girlfriend, who just so happened to be black.
Blacks and whites, sometimes mixed. But black girls only want your money cause of dumb shit.
The attempt backfired because the song had been made over 13 years previously when Eminem was still a teenager. Eminem released a public apology addressing the situation, and after that, he got forgiven by his fans.
Black women are bad, white women are good. I don't care if he's redeemed himself now. That's not the message. And if that's who he is, then he has to be held accountable for that. I want to see what he's going to say now. The ball's is in his court now.
Eminem continued to drop a few more diss tracks for good measure, but for the most part, Benzino was done. Interestingly enough, one of Eminem's most popular songs, like Toy Soldiers, was directed at Benzino.
My crew ain't supposed to know it, even if it means going toe to toe with the Benzino, it don't matter.
Following the intensity of 2003, Benzino took it easy around 2004, focusing on his next solo attempt. The album came out around 2005, one called Arch Nemesis, and featured another diss track at Eminem called Look Into My Eyes.
If Eminem wanna squash beef, tell him come. Where you at? Need him anywhere, he can bring it so long.
Who on earth would have signed him to a record deal, you ask? No one. The album was released independently and was a flop. Look Into My Eyes was the only single to be released from the project, and it only sold about 10,000 copies, peaking at number 117 on the Billboard 200.
So now y'all have to scream and yell and get on the internet and just keep pushing this motherfucker. This motherfucker's damn near 50 years old and was complaining about me when I was rapping at 40 and he's still rapping. And his music's trash, bro. We don't listen to that shit. That shit got no soul in it, no like, no, you know what I mean? Elevator, masturbator. Nobody gives a, man, that shit is trash, bro. We don't listen to that shit, period. That's just period. And I don't give a fuck what y'all say. It ain't got nothing to do with hate or nothing. Lord Jamar came out and said he was a guest, then all of a sudden he changed his mind and he's down with him, and then Nick Cannon comes out and now all of a sudden Nick Cannon loves him and said he's the top flower. Like, Nick Cannon sold out, man. Nick Cannon is whack for that, bro. See, this motherfucker scares people. He scares people because, you know, I guess people feel like their careers could be in jeopardy if they don't rock with him. Like, fuck that. You're gonna be a man and stand up or something, or you're gonna be a coward and run with your tail in between your asses all your life. It is what it is. Hip hop is ours. Hip hop is ours, and nobody does hip hop better than us. That's just how it is. They have to get the influence from us, and that's cool. Shit, you got black players playing hockey. There's nothing the matter with that. You know what I'm saying? But there's certain shit that everybody invents. There's certain things that he's the greatest and he's still the greatest and he's because he sold more. No, that just means that there's more white people on this earth, and there's more white people.
Now things were continuing to turn sour at the source, as the magazine had been boycotted for advertising by multiple major labels including Interscope, Def Jam, Tommy Boy, Virgin, Motown, and Universal, amongst others. The reputation of the magazine was so damaged that Benzino was forced to announce that he would be stepping down from his post. However, barely a week passed before he was back in office with tall tales and explanations of his actions. His behavior, however, was unchanged. And around 2005, Joshua Radcliffe, who had been appointed editor-in-chief barely 6 months previously, resigned unexpectedly. His reasoning: Mace and Benzino had told him to downgrade a rating for Little Brother's The Minstrel Show. The same year, Kimberly Osorio, Radcliffe's predecessor, sued the source for sexual harassment, gender discrimination, defamation, retaliatory discharge, and maintaining a hostile work environment. She proved to be the tipping point for the disgraced magazine, as she was awarded $7.5 million, and the source was forced to file for bankruptcy protection.
There was a lawsuit against the magazine that I filed back in 2005. This is a very personal thing for me, so, and I don't even want to revisit like all of the, you know, little details behind it, but it wasn't so much about the brand as much as it was about the owners at the time and people who were hurting the brand.
During the trial, Benzino, having not learned his lesson, was threatened with removal from the courtroom, and by around 2006, the board of directors had voted to remove both Mace and Benzino from the source after all the damage they had caused. Despite the irreversible damage that Benzino had dealt himself over the course of his career, and the complete failure of his previous albums, he tried again for a fourth and final attempt. The project came out around 2007 and was titled The Antidote.
Come on, man. Troublemaker back, controversy back. Who gon' knock me? These roaches can't stop me.
Once again, Benzino had dropped another flop. Around this time period, he founded a new magazine with Mace titled Hip Hop Weekly, and more or less fell off the face of the earth thereafter. Today, Benzino is another in a long list of almost made it stars. He has a bunch of children, including Coi Leray.
I would have thought the day when I reach up on Billboard, you know, the day when I'm on Billboard, I'm on YouTube top, I'm on Rolling Stone breaking all kinds of records, and this bitch ass nigga Benzino wants to fucking come online and start fucking with me, bro. Instead of being a father and just supporting from that side, you still want to be bitter. That's why you burn all your fucking relationships, my nigga. And that's why my career, yo, bro, I have to really bend my back and make sure niggas can fucking understand me as a person. Because at the end of the day, I don't want my father's relationships and the bridges he burnt to affect me. All that other personal shit he talking about, mansions and all that, everybody that's been in my life is fucking cap. That nigga is cap. We lost everything. Source was gone. By the time I was old enough to even understand the source, that shit was gone, bro. Give it up. Don't blame my mother. My mother is the best thing that ever happened to me. My number one supporter overall. At the end of the day, this ain't here to bash my father. And let me not get ahead of myself and be disrespectful. I don't even mean to call a nigga a bitch ass nigga, right? But at the end of the day, that's a fucking bitch move, my nigga. That's a bitch move. If you a father, right, support your fucking kids, my nigga, and that's it. Don't go online looking for fucking what's the word called? Clarity? Like, what the fuck are you looking for? Some type of fucking sympathy, nigga? You want people to feel bad for you? Because of what? Let's talk about how I don't speak to you. You didn't wish me happy birthday on, like, damn near none of my birthdays. Didn't say happy Thanksgiving. Haven't spoke to you in months, but then try to get me to go on Growing Up Hip Hop. Right? Try to get me to go on Growing Up Hip Hop. Told me that they wasn't going to let you on it if it wasn't for me. They didn't want to pay me the money I wanted. After that, I never heard from you again. Never heard from you again. Come on, my nigga. Y'all niggas is fucking weird, bro. Like, I had to pull over and really stop because I'm shaking. I'm driving by myself on my way to my little appointments or whatever so I could finish up what I got to do so I could get ready for my Atlanta trip. My mom called me. It's crazy because we was just on the phone crying yesterday, sharing this moment. Like, really sharing the moment. Like, niggas don't even understand, like, and I can't wait to tell my story because it's so many young females, young male that got industry parents or that got people in the industry, and these fucking people feel like they got so much power, bro. These motherfuckers got so much power. Nah. Them tables turn. Y'all niggas is outdated as fuck.
Now, between 2012 and 2014, he starred in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Around this time period, he was shot in the shoulder and back after attending his mother's funeral, but the injuries were not life-threatening. His nephew was later arrested for the shooting. Around 2015, Benzino got engaged and chronicled the entire relationship in season 6 of Marriage Boot Camp. Benzino went on to become a fixture in reality TV. Most recently, Benzino was in the press for having an alleged affair with transgender actress Shauna Brooks. As you can imagine, 50 Cent got involved. However, Benzino vehemently denied the allegations and said he had never spoken to the actress in person and that he was straight. Brooks, on the other hand, has another story and claims Benzino hit her up at 2 a.m. with a stripper, inviting her to a threesome. There's also footage of Benzino in a hotel with another man, but Benzino claims nothing happened. I'm not making this up. I'm just reporting it. And there you have it, folks. That's the story of Benzino. Benzino gets about 38,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and his most popular songs on the platform are Rock the Party, Would You, Rock the Party Again, Pull Your Skirt Up, and Call My Name. He also released a single this year called Zeno vs. the Planet, and it's safe to say nobody asked for it.
Episode is Zeno versus the planet. You know your daddy, love you. Internet nigga, sucker. Throw the trip and blame a mother. See, when you get older, you start thinking about different things. Me and this gay community, I'm in Atlanta. I understand the entertainment business has been nothing, is filled with gay men, and you have to deal with them in business. I'm a grown-ass man, and I have a good heart. I'm understanding that people are people regardless of what they are. Transgender, gay, straight. People are people, and you judge them by the way they judge you, and you judge them by their character. That doesn't mean you want to have sex with them or you want to be whatever they are. And me taking that road, I'm figuring shit, I'm doing the right thing. Because I'm thinking now, if I was a homophobe, I wouldn't be in none of this situation. If I was a motherfucker that came from Boston and been like, yeah, man, fuck all these motherfuckers. Don't come around me. I don't want to talk to you. Then I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in now. I put myself out there for that. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You know what I mean? But I'm not worried about it because when I go out in the world, it's love. Anybody ever approach me on some disrespectful shit about me being gay in person?
That's it for me. It's your boy Ali. What happened to Benzino in your opinion? Let me know down below. Video requests down below as well. Add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music. Till next time, peace.
Perfect.